Well, I've got a good one for you today. Welcome to Hanging Out with Popsie Guy. Pretty funny story that I wanted to share with you. But before I get into that, I wanted to send a shout out and a thank you to my friend Tim Childers, the new Retired Me channel. His team selected Hanging Out with Popsie Guy for the new creator grant that he has been doing over the last couple of years. Tim has been funding this through the earnings of his own program, his own channel, which I highly recommend, and I'll put a link in the description, The New Retired Me. Thank you to Tim and his team for recognizing new creators like myself. We need to learn from the guys that have been doing it for a while. And there's another guy that I'd like to give a shout out to. His name is Phil, and his channel is What's Up Boomer. I was out in Phoenix, believe it or not, playing golf with a friend and his two grown sons this past week. Yeah, it was only 110 degrees, but you know, golf is golf. And it turns out that Phil happens to work at the Home Depot, maybe 10 minutes from the hotel that I was staying at. So he was gracious enough to carve out some of his day to come and visit me and have a cup of coffee and basically bat ideas back and forth on how we can be successful in reaching our audience, which is those over the age of 60 with experience and wisdom, some encouragement and humor. So check out his channel as well. That's called What's Up Boomer. So let's get into it. If you haven't seen my last video, which apparently my wife hasn't seen it, I was talking about humble pie. And it was a story directly related to messing up a pizza delivery. And the reason that I used in my own head for messing up is because I had too many things going on in my mind and I wasn't concentrating. So I use an example of concentrating, which is, hey, have you ever put something on the stove, boiled water or the tea kettle, and for a while there it's very quiet, and you walk by and you realize that you put that tea kettle or that pot of water on a burner that you didn't turn on. You turned on another burner, and it's bright red and it's glowing, but the water and the eggs are not cooking. That exact same thing happened to my wife just yesterday. We were about ready to go out and spend some time downtown, and she said, I think I'll boil some eggs, something we can have when we get home. And so I'm kicking around waiting for things to happen, and I said, hey, are we about ready to go? And she says to me, yeah, those eggs have been on for about 20 minutes. I said, that's funny. I didn't hear any water. I didn't hear, you know, the sound of eggs boiling. She walked over to the stove. Sure enough, had the wrong burner on. And I said, didn't you see my last video? And she goes, no, I haven't caught up yet. But anyway, it's just a perfect example of having a whole bunch of things on your mind at the same time and thinking that what you're doing is something you've done a gazillion times and it's not the right thing. So again, check out that video. It's called the Popsie Guy Eats Humble Pie. And if you could relate to that, if something has happened to you, give me an example. I love to hear stories about people, because sometimes, and I'm sure this never happens to you, I think I'm the only one that does really stupid stuff. And I don't always tell people about it. And this is Popsie Guy confession time. The night after I made the video about eating humble pie, I went to work as usual and I did it again. I hope my boss doesn't see this, because he's gonna think the old man has lost his mind. But it was just, again, just having my mind on other things than what I should be doing. So, lesson for the day, pay attention, okay? What I'm gonna do, and I want your feedback, I'm gonna start a series that will help us as boomers with adult children and maybe even grandchildren who are getting older, understand how to handle money. I think it's extremely important for us to pass on the experience and the wisdom that we have. We're not going to tell them how to do it, but we will share with them, and I'll share with you stories about successes and downright failures. And I know for a fact that What's Up Boomer, Phil, he has done that in the past as well. And it's something he and I were able to talk about over our working careers and having money and spending money and not having money and what have you. And you know, my guess is that if you're watching this channel, you may have had that experience as well. But I'm going to start talking about things that are not widely covered in the news. I don't want to say mainstream media, because that sounds conspiratorial, but it's just not covered in financial literacy. And when I was in the investment advice business, I owned my own little firm. Financial literacy to me was a calling. So I spent time in the professional associations trying to get more and more interest in the planning community for financial literacy. There's a lot of interest. And when I say financial literacy, I'm not talking about somebody who wants to get their Series 7 license or become a certified financial planner. I'm talking about teaching people the difference between debt and credit, assets and liabilities, where to spend your money and where to save your money. That the Wall Street financiers are not your friends. They're there to steal your money with a smile, with a briefcase, not with a gun. It's something I'm passionate about. And I'm going to tease you with this. Between now and our next video, which will be just a couple of days from now, I want you to do some homework. I want you to do some research on what's called BNPL. Buy now, pay later. You may already know a little bit about it, but I'm planning on using a thumbnail for this particular video that talks about how Popsie Guy is able to buy his pizza in 4 easy payments. Yeah, you can do that. So do yourself a favor if you don't get a chance to see my next video, and I'm going to talk in depth about the players, the manipulation, the targets, which are our kids and the generation behind them, and the absolute lack of scrutiny that these companies are getting right now, and they're stealing money from the generations behind us. And it's our job to make sure, to help them understand, I would say, that they're out there. The predators are out there. They're putting apps on your phone, and a lot of these kids think that the app on the phone it's safe. It's not. So anyway, buy now, pay later. It's something you think you know about, but the industry is right now just gobbling up millions, and it will be shortly billions of dollars from people that can't otherwise afford to give away money. So that'll be coming soon. As I said, drop a comment if you'd like to hear a little bit more. We'll take it a little bit deeper, talk about ways which we, the over 60 crowd, the boomers, who are absolutely hated and despised by the Gen Zers and the Gen Xers and all the gens just because they think we stole all their money. It's not necessarily true. It's not true. But we need to help them understand that the game is different now. And it's because of these computers that they hold in their hands that they could be taken advantage of without even knowing it. So thanks for checking in. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. We're inching ever so closer to the 1,000 subscriber market. I so much appreciate your support. I love the comments. I feel like we're building a community of people who are open to sharing what's going on in their world. And if you're a new YouTuber and you're in the same, we call it niche, as Popsie Guy or Phil or Tim, drop me a note. Let me know where you can be located on YouTube, because I'd love to check you out and subscribe and support you as well. So once again, you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for hanging out with Popsie Guy. Bye-bye.